Most people want a faith that keeps hard things from happening, but Jesus never promised that, and he was upfront about it. John 16 verse 33 says, "I have told you these things, so that in me you may have peace. In this world you will have trouble. But take heart. I have overcome the world." What makes this verse remarkable is not just what Jesus says, it is when he says it. This is not a general teaching delivered on a calm afternoon by a lake. Jesus spoke these words in the upper room, the night before his crucifixion. He already knew what was coming. He knew about the arrest, the trial, the denial, the cross. He knew his disciples were about to scatter. He knew the next 18 hours were going to be the worst of their lives. And with all of that knowledge, he looked at the people he loved most and said, "In me, you may have peace. Not peace once this is over. Not peace when things make sense again. Peace right now, in the middle of what is coming." That is either the most audacious thing ever said, or the most trustworthy, and the resurrection is what decides which one it is. The word Jesus uses when he says take heart is the Greek word tharsio. It does not mean cheer up, or look on the bright side, or try to feel better. It means something closer to courage, a deep, deliberate, settled resolve. It is the word you would use to steady someone before something hard, not after it has passed. Jesus is not telling his disciples to pretend the trouble will not be real. He is calling them into a posture of grounded confidence before the storm even arrives. And notice the reason he gives for that confidence. Not that the trouble will be small. Not that it will be brief. Not that they will sail through it unscathed. The reason is this: I have overcome the world. That is the anchor. Not your circumstances improving. Not the hardship being removed. But the fact that the one standing beside you has already been to the worst place the world can take a person, and came back. It is worth sitting with what overcome actually means here. Jesus did not overcome the world by avoiding suffering. He overcame it by going straight through the worst of it and coming out the other side with death itself defeated. That is a completely different kind of victory than the one most of us are hoping for. We want the path around the hard thing. Jesus is offering us company through it, and the guarantee that it does not get the final word. For us today, so much of the anxiety people carry is rooted in this quiet belief that if things are hard, something has gone wrong. That struggle is a sign of failure, or weak faith, or divine absence. We look at someone else's life that appears smoother and wonder what they are doing right that we are doing wrong. And that comparison quietly crushes people, because it is built on a premise Jesus never supported. He did not say trouble might come if you are not careful. He said in this world you will have trouble. Full stop. No qualifier. No exception clause. The trouble is not a sign that your faith has failed. It is not a punishment. It is not evidence that God has looked away. It is just what living in a broken world feels like, for everyone, at some point, in some form. The difference this verse makes is not that it removes the trouble. It is that it refuses to let the trouble be the whole story. There is a vast difference between facing something hard alone and facing it anchored to someone who has already conquered it. The circumstances might look identical from the outside. The inner experience is completely different. Peace, in the way Jesus describes it here, is not a feeling that arrives when the difficulty is resolved. It is a foundation that holds while the difficulty is still present. It is the thing underneath you that does not shift even when everything around you does. And the only way to have that kind of peace is to be connected to someone whose stability does not depend on your circumstances, someone who is the same yesterday, today, and through whatever is coming next. The takeaway: peace and hardship were never opposites. You were never promised a life without trouble in order to have access to peace. The peace Jesus offers does not wait for the storm to pass, it holds you inside of it.